I'm Justice Janice M. Holder, and this is my Elmwood. Well, I'm here today to really talk about Marion Scudder Griffin, who was the first woman who was licensed to practice law in the state of Tennessee. Marion was born in Greensboro, Georgia in 1879, although there's some controversy about exactly when she was born. There's a census from Greensboro in 1880 that lists her as 6 years old. We know that she moved to Memphis, Tennessee, but I've been unable to find anything that explains why she did, who she came with, or what her reason was for actually relocating to Memphis, Tennessee. We do know that she was a stenographer in Greensboro, and when she came to Memphis, she also served as a stenographer under a judge here in Memphis. She became interested in the practice of law, and she read law under Judge Scruggs. Now, when she did that, that was the sole or almost sole way of becoming licensed to practice law in the state of Tennessee. You read law, and I think that meant that you learned the law under the tutelage of somebody else, a practicing lawyer. So when you did that, and that lawyer believed that you were sufficiently knowledgeable, then you were referred to a sitting judge and a sitting chancellor, and they certified you. If they believed that you met the requisites, they certified you to the practice of law. In 1900, having been certified, Marion applied to the Supreme Court for admission to practice law in the state of Tennessee. She was denied admission based on the fact that she was a woman. She again reapplied in 1901, and she was again rebuffed. Not taking no for an answer, Marion went to the University of Michigan School of Law, and in 1906, she earned her Bachelor of Laws degree. She returned to Memphis and began to lobby the General Assembly to allow women to practice law in Tennessee. At the beginning of all of this, she was met with jokes and guffaws, in her words, and finally she was able to prevail upon the General Assembly to pass a law giving women the right to practice law in the state of Tennessee. And you might wonder, what does that law look like? Well, I've got a copy of it, and it's very interesting. It's very simple. It's House Bill number 192, and it says, an act to authorize the admission of women to the practice of law. It says, Section 1, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee that any woman of the age of 21 years and otherwise possessing the necessary qualifications who shall hereafter apply for the same may be granted a license to practice law in the courts of this state. And it says that this act will take effect from and after its passage, the public welfare requiring it. And that was passed on February 13, 1907, and it was signed by Governor Patterson on February 15, 1907. On July 1, 1907, Marion Scudder Griffin was licensed by the Tennessee Supreme Court to practice law in the state of Tennessee, thereby becoming the first woman to be licensed by the Supreme Court to practice law in the state. Not only was she the first woman to be so licensed, she ran for a seat in the General Assembly and served one term from 1923 to 1924. And she was thereby the first woman to be elected to the Tennessee General Assembly. She only served one term. She did not seek re-election, and that was the end of her political career. But I think she made her point, much as she made her point when she became the first woman to practice law, or to be licensed to practice law in the state of Tennessee. From 1907 to 1949, she practiced law in the Goodwin Institute building. You may wonder where that is. Well, that isn't here anymore. That's why you don't know where it is and it doesn't sound familiar. But the Goodwin Institute building was at the corner of Madison and 3rd, and it is where the Horizon Bank building stands today. An historical marker was erected at the site of the old Goodwin Institute building at the corner of Madison and 3rd on May 23, 2001. Those of us who have practiced law for a long time and are currently practicing law in an era where there are many women practicing law, many women have blazed the trail before us, I don't think that we fully appreciate the perseverance and courage that women like Marion Scudder Griffin exemplified when they were the only, or they were the first, and they were going against all odds. I think it's important to understand that all of this occurred. She was licensed to practice law before women were given the right to vote. You have to think about that for a minute to really realize the impact that has. A woman who did not have the right to vote was granted a license to practice law. On May 21, 2001, a joint resolution of the Tennessee General Assembly was enacted, and it quoted one commentator as saying, "Every woman lawyer in the state of Tennessee stands on her shoulders. All citizens of Memphis do, whether they know it or not. She is one of the heroines of the community." The resolution also resolves as follows: "We hereby honor the life of Marion Scudder Griffin and her outstanding contributions to the cause of equality of women, and reflect upon her courage and persistence in advancing that goal." I couldn't have said it better.